the horses are now nearing the starting gate. And they're off. As the field comes into the stretch.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. Right now, a mix of sun and clouds. The temperature today will top out at around 40 degrees. The main track here at the Big A is fast, and we are on the turf today. Race 4 will be run on the outer turf, which is yielding. Race 6 will be run on the inner turf, which is good. So we're fast, yielding, and good here at Aqueduct. And now we'll take a look at the changes for the 8-race card. In the first race, note that the 1A, Shinjuku, runs with one aluminum pad on. One aluminum pad on the 1A. Number 6, Brew Pub is 1 pound over. And scratch the 7, Remember Mom. Scratch number 7. No changes in the second. The third race will start the Empire 6. Mandatory payout every day here at Aqueduct. In the third race, scratch number 5, Fire Mission. Scratch the 5. The fourth race, on the outer turf, scratch number 1 across the channel. Scratch the 1. In race 5, scratch number 6, New Year's Wish. Scratch the 6. Race 6 will go on the inner turf course. And we have these scratches. Take out the main track onlys. Number 4, Vintage Hollywood. 7, Malibu Star, and 10, Daddy Knows. Scratch 4, 7, and 10. And number 6, So High, will run with cheek pieces on. Cheek pieces on, number 6, So High. Today's 7th race is the Distaff Handicap, and there are no changes. And in today's 8th race, scratch the 2, Kickerland. Scratch number 2. Main track fast. Outer turf yielding, inner turf good. We'll be back at 12:50 to recap the changes. Today's first race post is at 1:20. Up next, it's the On the Turf edition of Talking Horses with Andy Serling and Anthony Stabile.
long national nightmare is over. I'm back.
He's back.
Welcome to Talking Horses, by the way. Good afternoon. He is the big A, Anthony Stabile. In case you've forgotten, I'm Andy Serling. It's nice to be back. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. Glad to hear it. Back on the turf. First day of turf racing. The inners listed as good. The outers listed as yielding. One race on each course. Wood Memorial Day, of course, tomorrow. Slate of stakes. Lots of action. Lots of good stuff going on. How many races did you cover on the weekly stakes preview presented by NYRA-Bets?
There'll be 14. Hour 5 tomorrow, the 6 from Keeneland, the Fantasy from Oaklawn, and the Oaks and Derby from Santa Anita. Tomorrow, between 5:15 and around 7:15 tomorrow, there will be 3 Kentucky Derby preps and 4 Kentucky Oak preps.
And it was hard for you with 14 races and Klarovich runners and only 2 of them. You actually had to handicap 12 of them.
No, incorrect.
Did he have a horse in another race?
That's incorrect. No.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. Search engines, well, 11, excuse me. So you only had to look at 11 of them. It was very easy for you.
Wait, you were counting the Bluegrass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know you picked Highly Motivated.
Bluegrass, right, correct. Bluegrass, right. There was one other layup. I can't remember what it was. I only had to look at 10 races.
Okay, it's good for you. All right. You could have some work to do. I'm assuming that most of you have already joined NYRA-Bets, but for the lingering malcontents among you that have not signed up, get over to NYRABets.com. We will match for $200 your initial deposit. Use the promo code MATCH200. Once you've joined NYRA-Bets, you know what you can play in, Anthony?
Yeah.
You can play in the
contest.
We
can't. We're not, that's not true.
But
if you don't sit up here,
right.
We can.
And this is a special one: $3,000 buy-in, all cash prizes, NHC seats. Head over to NYRA.com/challenge for more information. You have until 5 o'clock today. Got a lot of stuff. You guys got a lot of work to do. Okay, it's not that hard, and it's good for you. Anyway, America's Day at the Races. We're back. 1 to 6:30 today, covering our races as well as Oaklawn's card. I will be on with Maggie early. Richie will be downstairs. Then Maggie will be going downstairs. I'll be on with Greg. And then Greg and Richie. Keisha's not here today.
Okay.
She must have heard she had to work with me today. Yesterday she was in. I wasn't here. Whatever. I will see how it works. Race number 1.
Can't blame her.
Let me ask you a question.
Goes through my head every day.
There's no way to know from your picks which half of the entry you prefer. I would list the 1A. I like them both. I think they're the 2 horses. Which one do you prefer in this entry?
Yeah, I forgot to put the E up, the 1A. I prefer the 1. I prefer Our Man Mike.
Okay. Our Man Mike was second behind a Bill Mott first-time starter last time. I thought he ran fine in there. I actually thought Shinjuku ran fairly well last time. Let's see from the start to the 8th ball for the 1A Shinjuku, who... that was a Chad Brown horse to finish second in there, right? Who was the winner? Was a first-time starter?
The winner was was Kelly Breen.
Possible.
I can't know.
Shinjuku does not break, so you see the horse not breaking, gets totally steadied back in the field, and then is going to make, sort of taken back, and you can see the rider, Louis Cardenas, who's back aboard, is sort of struggling to get him to settle, and he's going to take him to the outside, and once he gets outside in the clear, he just kind of takes off. I actually thought Shinjuku ran fairly well in here, and if he had broken more cleanly, and he was coming off that almost 4-month layoff, felt like this was a horse run well. Be interesting, the track is listed as fast, I believe, today.
Yep.
It was sloppy and sealed yesterday. The winner was a Mike Maselli horse, actually, of a long layoff.
A lot of wind, Andy.
Yesterday's track, the riders really stayed outside yesterday, but the last 2 races were dominated by horses that were on the 2 path. So, not sure how it was. I think the riders were staying on the safe side, but we have seen a pretty fair racetrack over the last few weeks here.
Yeah, we got a lot of wind to get the water out of the racetrack. Like you said, back on the turf, I think some people are surprised at that. But like I said, the wind picked up here when I left yesterday at around 1, and it did not stop. It's still windy.
No, the wind yesterday was around 16 miles an hour. I did the track trends. You see the winner charging down the middle of the racetrack. I thought Shinjuku's performance was just fine in here. I believe they're both dangerous.
If they were separate entities, I probably would have picked it 1A.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Did you have to get smelling salts when you saw that Chad Brown was training a horse for Zilla?
No, you know what? Somewhere in the back of my head, I knew that. Somebody must have mentioned that in passing to me.
Wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. It was somebody in the Somebody in the Horseman's Lounge.
Is a Lauban. We'll see how this horse is able to run. Brewpub is certainly fast enough to be effective here. He's had his share of chances, and the races are probably going to get tougher. He had his chances when the races were easier, and he was running against 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds as well. I thought Olympique, you have third, a little interesting. Bill Mott did run the slot first time out and took some money. We'll see if he can run better in a fast track.
They took money into Dr. Blute, the good-looking firster from John Kimmel. He was the one that actually took the money in the race, and yeah, he gets on the dry ground, like you said.
All right, race number 1, race number 2. Race number 2.
I had a tough time with this race. I don't know about you.
No, you didn't. You picked Rudy.
No.
There was no chance you weren't picking Rudy in this race.
No, I spent a long time making this decision.
No, you spent a long time thinking, how much abuse do I want to take from Andy for taking a horse that has gotten eased in 2 straight races that's going to be a short price because he's switched to Rudy. That's what was tough for you.
No, it wasn't.
How much abuse
well, he's going to be the third choice.
I guess, but how confident are you that this horse can run?
I'm not confident at all. I'm not confident, but I think that I almost.
Was there any conversation with Rudy?
No, not at all. I almost gave you I was very close to giving you. Nope. Okay. Nobody in the barn. I was very close to giving you. Here's the thing. When you go through this heat, do we have any replays for this race? Or do I have a minute here?
We can hold the replay.
Okay.
You've got as much time as you want to blather.
When I went through this race, right, it's legit on the drop. It's Roman Union on the drop. It's horses like Allure and King of American who have won the condition races only. It's Runabout changing hands again, and Runabout, in all likelihood, is not, has kind of seen better and more consistent days.
I don't agree with that. Runabout's recent buyer figures are very much in line with all the races he's run, and I think he's just fine. I think he can win this race. I don't understand. He's seen better days. He's running the same figures every time. As far as Allure, I mean, he's just not good enough to win this race, and he hasn't run for a while. And when he won, he ran for a trainer that was on a hot streak, and now he's running for the same trainer whose horses can't get out of their own way for the most part.
And King of American is a strange one because that barn kind of cooled off, but this horse kept running through the cool-off. They had their little 2-week run.
He won the worst race.
No, I know he did.
King American's 100 to 1 in this race. I mean, he's got.
I know he did. So it left me with the 2 droppers, and to me these are.
Wait a minute. Okay, fine. We'll show a stat for Todd Pletcher with droppers, and I thought it was sort of interesting. He doesn't have that many. 50% drops on the dirt. He's 4 for 18. It just doesn't run that many. They don't do that well. It's not a terrible stat. I legit may win because there's not much competition in here, but I don't know that he's better than Runabout. I don't know what Roman Union. I put him third because it is Rudy off a trainer change, but his last 2 races are atrocious. To me, Written Glory is just an hour and a half the worst to beat. We'll show his race 2 back. Now, he is a bit dressed up off this race, where he got a tremendous ride by Trevor McCarthy coming up a gold rail, and the buyer figures probably really should be about an 82. But last time out, yeah, he was overbet. He shouldn't have been that priced. Dust Devil, who I mean, I don't know how he paid 9 to 2 yesterday. I thought he'd be 4 to 5, so I didn't bet him. I thought he'd be a super short price. He galloped yesterday. He was a little off the rail. The rail was the place to be last time out. That was just, Dust Devil and Democratic Values, the way he ran first time for Rudy on a gold rail as well. He's a better horse than these, and in my opinion, Grit and Glory is just a logical horse in good form. Linda's running him in a logical spot. She claimed for 12.5, but he was a good claim for 12.5, and I just think he's just a logical horse.
Scratched yesterday to run today.
Well, he entered yesterday. He had a scratch yesterday because he was entered today.
Yeah, I'm just, sometimes Rudy gets these horses that have the back class and the back speed, and I'm just hoping this horse finds some of his old speed in here.
These are pretty good barns. He was in Rob Atraz's barn. He was in Michelle Nevin's barn. Rob's before. I understand. It is interesting. Isn't it interesting the number of horses the Toscanos claim from Rob Atras? And I don't know, is there a story? But they claim a lot of horses from Rob Atras, and that's some success. They won one of those starter races the other day.
Air Attack, right?
Just fascinating how much he got bet. Race number 3 kicks off the Empire 6. Of course, there's no carryovers. We pay out the entire pool every day. This race, I thought was impossible. Horse you have on top is Winning Drive. I see David has him 9 to 2. I wouldn't want to make this line this race.
No. Oh, no
idea who's going to get bet in here.
No, sir.
This is Win 2 back. They knew he was going to win this race, and this was a very moderate field. I'm not sold that this 77 buyer is something you can rely on him running again.
Oh, no, I don't. I mean, and you could even, I don't know if you could completely argue this point, but Taylor Miss got into a little traffic trouble that day, and Taylor Miss might have beat him that day if he had a clean trip. So
he had a very good trip. I don't know if that's the case, but he ran over his head last time. He's not as good as those horses, and he was outside against a gold rail, so he had a viable excuse. Better horses. He's logically going to win. He's not going to be 9-2.
I just think that's the. Ultimately, I landed on him because the two races.
I thought he'd be second choice.
To be honest with you,
I thought he'd vie for favoritism with.
I thought he'd be. I think he'll be the favorite.
I'm going to be. No, I think the Freudian said he'll be the favorite. Okay. But I think it'll be very close. I think it'll be close between these two horses.
I think it'll be closer than that. I didn't have the morning line. It'll be closer than that. I'd have to imagine he's shorter than Professor Snape and Release the Thunder.
I'm usually wrong when I disagree with David, but I don't think we'll be wrong this time.
I just think the drop to 10. I mean, those two races for 10,000.
3-2, two back. I don't disagree. Is there an IRAD factor in the other two? No, there isn't. No. So I don't know. As far as Freudian Sip, there's no way I was picking on top.
No, me either.
His last race was absolutely because of a gold rail, and he's just not that good.
And he still couldn't get there.
Well, the horse that beat him was on the rail until he drifted out late. But you're right, he still couldn't get there. He never left the rail. He might win here, but, man, I'm not a big fan. This is one of those ones where I thought these were the two horses to beat, but I didn't like either one of them particularly.
You see Shamrock right here now. There's almost an eighth of a mile left here, and he's still drifting. Freudian Sip's right up against that gold rail, and he still cannot get there. You feel like if he didn't get there last time, he's hard to pick. He's hard to take in here, especially if the horse you like, Release the Thunder, the horse I like, Winning Drive, if they're double his price, I mean, you got to take a shot one of the other two.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Winning Drive is anywhere close to his 9-2. Absolutely shocked. As far as Release the Thunder, do I like him? No. But I thought he'd be fourth choice in this race, and he got bet last time. I know he drifted a bit late. There was no reason for him to take money last time, these connections especially. And you know I'm a Louis Cardenas. This was not Louis' best round.
No, I would agree with that.
He broke well in there in a slow-paced race. He just completely took him out of the race after being contentious in there, and he just dragged him back. And he wasn't going to beat Ninth Hour.
Oh,
they can't hear me?
He wasn't going to beat Ninth Hour that day, but I don't disagree. I think he could have gotten a little bit of a better trip. My problem with him is the barn has had such a rough winter in New York, and I mean, I think 0 for 25 when all was said and done.
Who was over 25?
Juan Vasquez.
Well, he ran a lot of horses with no chance.
Yeah.
The reality is this horse ran reasonably well last time. I don't like anyone in here. I can't pick the 7. I don't trust the 4. He
what
ran
about
better.
Professor Snape, Andy? He kind of woke up, right?
No, he ran a lot better. The whole point is that Release the Thunder ran significantly better than Professor Snape. Professor Snape was right on top of the slow pace last time, and he beat Release the Thunder because of the difference in trips. I worry about Release the Thunder as much speed. Carol Cedeno is coming into town to ride this horse?
I want to say she rode one for the barn yesterday at a big price that got 3rd. It was just way too far back and came running late. I can't remember what race it was.
I was not paying a great deal of attention yesterday.
Yeah, it was said there was the race that came in 7-1-5. They were the 5, and the horse came from a long way back. Wait, was she up? I can't remember.
Okay. We'll see what happens in race number 3. The late pick 5 kicks off in race number 4, and we're back on the turf, and big surprise. 2 big surprises. One, Chad Brown has the overwhelming morning line favorite in the turf. The bigger surprise is that Anthony picked against this horse. That's the upset of the day. There can be, the longest shot of the board could win the Wood tomorrow. It's not as big an upset as this one. We'll take a look at Brazilian Air, who I'm not trying to beat in here. The horses, just so you know the horses he beat. He beat a Todd Pletcher drop down. I think the second horse was actually, if I could read my handwriting, was a Marcassi drop down as well. I thought he ran fine in this race, in reality, getting on the turf for the first time, and he's no superstar, but I think he's found the right field today.
He may have. I just didn't want to take him at 3-5.
Okay, that's fine.
That was it, really.
The funny thing about this race is you've got almost $2 million worth of Peter Brandt purchases in this race. This horse for $875 and 1.1 for Johnny Pump. Now, Johnny Pump was sold after his race 3 back. Johnny Pump's the other horse in here, and he can win because he faced much better horses in his turf races. The problem with Johnny Pump is that his races really aren't very good in the turf. He never really did much running in those races. To be fair, he never left the gold rail on November 7th. I would say his race on December 3rd was a little bit better, kind of a goofy time. He's Mike Maker, so I don't care. It's not Chad. Mike Maker does well with these horses. I think one of them will win. I prefer Brazilianaire.
He just kind of runs in place, Johnny Pump. Here's the other one. Prince of Caps is going to be the third horse in here.
Kind of a distant third horse, isn't
Yeah, I guess. I'm going to take a little shot with him.
Why?
To beat I think he's got a little bit more upside. I think his turf races are better than Johnny Pump's race.
Really?
Johnny Pump's races, yeah, I do. At least he does a little running in these races.
He lost to Bold Gem last time. He lost to Bold Gem last time, just pointing it out.
Yeah, and he lost the Bold Gem. He was gone for 3 months, and then he was gone for. They finished running him on the dirt. I mean, obviously, he needed to miss some time. I mean, he lost the Bold Gem, and then he missed 3 months.
Okay.
He didn't lose the Bold Gem, then come back and run a month later.
Okay.
I see. Look, I get where you're coming from.
But you said his turf races were better, and I was pointing out he lost the Bold Gem. I wasn't answering that he went on a layoff. I was just saying.
Well, he was also breaking from the 11 hole. Up at Saratoga. I don't think he ran that poorly this time. His first turf race puts him right there with these
pretty
horses.
good trip that day, considering them. No, it doesn't. He was only second in that race because Winning Factor had an enormous trip in there, idle time.
All right, so he's third? I mean, Winning Factor turned into a nice horse.
We disagree.
Yeah, we do.
We disagree. I'm not saying he's impossible. If both the 3 and 5 completely fail to fire, I think he could win. But I think it would take that to happen. But
I'm using the 3 and 6.
Okay. I'm going to use the 3 and 5 in this race. The 6 could be a C for me. Kicking off the late pick 5, late pick 4. Quick break. What's going on here, guys?
There it is.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com.
Did you miss this? We're back. That's like almost a white. You should get a white suit. Like a white suit and a hat.
I have one.
A white suit and a fedora.
Panama hat?
Yeah.
Maybe for Saratoga.
You thinking that's a look for you? That could be like your look for the summer. Please don't do that.
Now I have to.
I like you too much. I respect you too much.
Now I have to.
No, you don't. You don't have to.
Yeah, now I do.
You're not that guy.
Because here's why I have to do it. I have to do it now because you think I can't pull it off.
No, I didn't say you couldn't pull it
pull
off.
off a potato sack, my man.
I know you're ridiculous. I know you could do whatever you want. I just would rather you don't.
Finally, somebody gets me.
I didn't say that you wouldn't do it.
I do what I want.
I didn't suggest that. I asked you not to. It's
let's
my fault.
Let's mark the time that somebody finally understood that.
Race number
5. 12-18.
I know she's a big favorite. I just think Timely Tradition will take a look at her race 2 back. It's just better than these horses. I'm not sure why they tried to go a mile last time. I will say I don't know what happened to her speed. I won't disagree. She was awful last time. There's no doubt about it. And it's not just the mile.
She was terrible last time.
She was bad. She ran well in here. She was never being let me take this call. She held up Madamina, who is actually okay. It's a nest horse, but she's okay. I just thought she'd be stalking the number 2 Chubb Wagon, who we'll get to in a moment. I do have a replay, and she would prove the best horse in here. I didn't have a strong opinion, but I don't disagree that Prairie Fire can win. I just thought she was the best horse.
That last race really bothered me from
That's
her,
fair.
Andy. And I went back to Prairie Fire. Prairie Fire gets her Lasix back.
Her Lasix?
She didn't have it in her last 2 starts, and
because there were stakes.
The Prairie Fire that we've been accustomed to did not show up. She gets her Lasix back. She has the race off the 10 weeks. A race she couldn't win once Sadie Lady was able to just control on the front end.
She was wide against the Gold Rail last time. But forgetting about that, I know people were talking about this Lasix stuff. I haven't noticed it. I haven't noticed it.
Okay.
I haven't noticed horses under the
I don't think we've seen enough of it. And I think when we see a filly who's consistently running in the 80s, come back and run.
Let's be fair. She caught a super sloppy track against better horses in her next start. And then she was wide against a Gold Rail in her next start. So she also has legit excuses in her last 2 races.
I'm not saying she doesn't.
I don't think those races are that significantly worse than her other races.
I see. I did.
Well, I know you don't believe in track bias. I get it.
No, number one, I do believe in track bias. Number two, she ran 5 numbers in the low to mid 80s, and then came back with 2 races.
She had good trips in those races too.
Okay, listen.
I'm just saying there is a counter argument.
I think they could both be accurate. I think they could both be true.
It's possible the lace has something to do with it. She's supposed to run better today, a fair racetrack.
And she's supposed to, I mean, she's supposed to get a good setup, right? Shubwagon's going to go. You'd almost have to think Timely Tradition has to put a little pressure on her, no?
No, Anthony,
oh, okay.
no.
Right.
You got to get away from that. The sooner you get away from that stuff, the better off you'll be. You've said it 500 times in the show, and it's been proven once.
You're going to let Shubwagon go?
Yes. The assumption is that Shubwagon is not good enough and has to get an extra furlong. We'll take a look at Shubwagon. Shubwagon's also going to be dramatically overbet here because Irad's riding. I'm not sure what difference it makes Irad's riding because any rider could send this horse to lead.
Yep.
This was an impressive win. I still don't think it's good enough to win this field. This horse was 30 cents to the dollar last time, going 5.5
Well, she's running against Pennsylvania branch. Yeah, right. I understand that, but I mean, she went 6.5. She went 6. Not as dazzling as this, going to 5.5. But
as Jason would say, people like ones. And
I mean, she's gone. She's fast too. She scares me a little bit. That Timely Tradition last race really bugs me, man.
Prairie Fire and Timely Tradition are so much better than she is.
That's right.
And you know, if she's the kind of horse that there was a time could have been 5-1 in here. Now with Irad and the speed figures, etc., she's not going to be much price. I would much rather bet Prairie Fire than her at a better price.
You think she's going to be shorter than Prairie Fire? See, I don't think she's going to be.
I do. Because I believe that David's usually right about these things, and I think you are discounting the money for Irad.
Oh, well, you know what? Yeah, all right. The Irad money's right. You're right.
And by the way, a note to Linda Rice: stop entering New York Wish to make races go. Find a race for New York's Wish. Do we have any photos of New Year's Wish to show that she's actually around? This is twice. And clearly, she's made the race go, right? Anthony, you disagree?
Did I say anything, Andy?
I found a way to shut him up.
Can't we?
Race number 6.
That's why you don't watch professional wrestling. You'd be terrible to watch professional wrestling with.
Oh, there's a lot of reasons I don't watch professional wrestling.
You'd be awful.
The only wrestling I told you to watch was Andy Kaufman, when he used to wrestle women on the shows.
Jerry Lawler smacked him on David
Letterman. Well, it was a setup. I saw that live. Jerry Lawler's a legend.
King.
Greatest, yeah. Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman may have been more ahead of his time than anybody in the history of the since Ben Franklin.
Just to wait tables.
He was ahead of his time in wrestling. He was ahead of his time on Elvis impersonators.
Great.
He was like, well, I'll tell you, he was ahead of his time. Patty Chayefsky, who envisioned reality TV when he wrote Network in the mid-'70s.
True.
Died very young.
Very true.
Yeah, that's a great movie. That's a great movie.
Great movie.
Oh, what a great movie. Race numbers. By the way, I watched Bridgertown with my mom. No one could believe my mom and I were watching Bridgertown together. It was fun. Did you watch it?
No.
Oh, it was fun.
That's like the most popular show on.
It's like a racy Jane Austen. Anyhow, so shockingly, it's another turf race, and guess what? Chad Brown and Peter Brand are strong in here. I got to tell you something about this entry. This entry is going to be very, very short. And I'm not totally sold on either one of them. They may run 1-2. We'll start with Lahara.
You can make that 1A598. I sent that in. I don't know why the one's up there too.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Francisco, he's having a very disappointing day.
Yeah, I defended him early too.
No, you can't. He's indefensible.
Nope.
He's way up his game. It's embarrassing to me as his biggest fan. I know he was kind of buried inside of horses. At this point, aren't you a little sick of this guy?
Yeah.
And, I think at the end of the day, and he can win. I'm not saying he can't. He didn't have a clean run in here. I get it. He also got beat for 3rd. I'm starting to understand why Chad Brown ran him for a tag the first time.
Yeah, I think people can be misled almost by the fact that he ran so well for the tag. And it's like, but once he left the starter allowance ranks and he started running against the open company,
with a perfect trip at his next start at 3-5.
Heart Attack City after New and Improved. I was alive in the pick 5 that day, and he just sat. He was just sitting there. I was like, this horse got out of this. I singled him. You got to get through, and he was fortunate to get through that day when he won the starter. And then the Open Company allowance races.
He's been a little. Listen, he met Colonel Liam. Let's not.
Right, but the last race is the one because, like you said, yes, he's buried inside. But the truth of the matter is, he had a similar trip when he won the starter, and he didn't get it done.
He got passed for third, and the winning factor race, he was a little bit unlucky. He was forced into moving early when Junior moved on another horse in the backstretch, but still, he's supposed to be better than winning factor. Now, the thing is, I don't disagree with you that the 1A is okay. We'll look at his last race. A very good ride, actually, by Camacho because he didn't break, and he got him into early position in here. I tried the third-place finisher in a maiden race down at Fairgrounds, and the horse was virtually eased. Now, may he have had a problem? He ran so badly. Second-place finisher was a Bill Mott horse that was first time in the turf and had a right to be a runner in here. He was the speed. Yeah, I would prefer to bet him on his own, where he might be closer to 2-1
right.
and a similar price to Shug's horse. And I'm not saying Lahara can't win. It's not an entry where... But
that's when you like Kurumada like we do, Lahara hurts the price.
Leave this up for a second. I showed this stat because anytime a Trad Brown or a Todd Pletcher, these trainers that run a lot, run short price in races, they're close to $2 in the ROI. It's good. What I found interesting about the stat is that Chad Brown does not have. Just leave it up. His numbers are good. Off a maiden win the turf, he's 50 for 200, 25%, $1.49 ROI. There's nothing wrong with those numbers. They take a lot of money, but they're underperforming a bit. I thought it was interesting with the 4-year-olds and up because he's significantly better with them because I think the other numbers are skewed by 2-year-olds going to stake races, horses jumping up in their next starts. These older horses he's done well. Still, do you really think, let me put it another way. We'll take a look at Dreams of Tomorrow at Gulfstream finishing second last time. If Dreams of Tomorrow and Kurumada were running against each other, how confident are you that Kurumada would be favored over Dreams of Tomorrow?
Alone?
Not sure.
I'm not either, but I think it would be for almost the wrong reasons. They're going to see that Dreams of Tomorrow is running at Gulfstream, and again, be misled that the Gulfstream race is going to be better than the Tampa race.
Well, Talcott isn't a horse that ran well for Mike Maker, and it's not a maiden race. And he had the run of the race, but it wasn't a terrible maiden field. He beat here in December. I'm not sold on Dreams Tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. It's not exactly the let's make a deal question, but that both halves of the entry can't win, and they might run 1-2, but they can't win. And I would happily take my chances with Dreams Tomorrow against Lahara, and I'm not sure that he can't beat. So at a better price, I picked him on top. I don't have a great allegiance. It's very hard to make anybody else in here.
I can't make anybody else in here.
No, Box and Score is always probably wants more distances is too slow.
Right.
That fake figure on So High, the race on November 20th, it's a bogus fig, and you got a perfect trip, et cetera, et cetera. It just feels like...
Probably want to see how Box and Score runs in here. I think he might be okay going. Well, I think he might be okay going long and see what kind of starting point he has this year.
In some field he was in last time.
I know, but I think he could be useful going over to Belmont, the mile and a quarter, mile and 3/8 race. I think
turf is looking lusciously green.
Looks great.
Yeah, if I wasn't on the air, I'd be going out in the turf course that
Looks
first
great.
race. Race number 7, the Distaff. Anthony didn't have to handicap this race. You didn't handicap it. You picked Belmont. Get out of here.
I probably took as much time with this race as any other race. I had a tough time with this race.
This is a very, very, very tricky race.
Tough time with this race.
And I'm not confident on my pick. You've taken a negative on her. I get it. We'll show her running second to Monomoy Girl 3 races back at Churchill. She is a horse that got better in Kentucky. I don't totally trust this horse for sure. Obviously, if she runs the race when she finishes second to Monomoy Girl, she's the horse to beat. She's the speed in here along with Portal Creek, who I think she's better than. I don't trust her, but the reality is she actually ran okay in that Valiance race because she couldn't make the lead in a fast pace, and then she got chewed up in the pace in the Distaff. I don't think those efforts were that bad. I'm going to hope that she's turned a corner and she's a better horse. She's going to be more forward than Honor Way, who I think is the other horse in this race, so I prefer, but I agree, it's not. I don't like your horse. We'll get to her. She's the third replay. I don't like her. You don't like Lady Kate.
Here's the funny part of the whole thing. I'm a Lady Kate fan. I don't know with her inside of Portal Creek what the plan is today. And I'm going to tell you the other thing too. Eddie Keneally does a very good job. Eddie is
Another
not off
trainer
to
does a very good job.
He's not off to a good start this year. He has not.
Well, he doesn't have great layoff stat numbers either.
I'm a fan of this filly. And I know you don't care about this, but I think she wants a mile. I think she's a one-turn mile kind of horse.
Yeah, you're right. I don't care about that
Yeah,
stuff.
but
She's involved in a race that doesn't have much pace, and she's forwardly placed. So why would distance somehow concern her?
Listen. She's coming off the break, like you said. She's gone 5 months, almost 5 months now, and
Right, but the break is expected. It's not a layoff. It's an expected break. Whereas the one on her way, obviously she had an issue because the winter could have been a good time for her. Now, listen, she was in very good form, but we'll get to your horse, Paris Light, second. I put her second because I knew you'd pick her, and she is a Grade 1 winner. My problem with her, Anthony, as we look at the Coach Club American Oaks, is who did she ever beat?
nope, I could not agree more. And she's one where Bill Mott has said she probably wants a little more ground in this. This is kind of just a jumping off point. My problem, and you're right, she hasn't beaten much. In the 2 races at Churchill, I think she did it impressively enough to think that she was going to go on. Obviously comes out of this race
down there.
a little worse for wear. Again, you're harassing me. I know she didn't beat much, man. I just said that to
Bill
you.
Mott.
I just said that to you.
For what it's worth, Bill Mott is 0 for 6 off of layoffs going route to sprint, and I think it's significant in this case because she is a horse that wants more distance and he's getting a race into. And also don't remember something. She's a substitute for Lake Avenue.
Yep.
And Bill Mott's 0 for 14 with 5 hitting the board, turnbacks off of wins. She might be okay, and I'm not saying there are any superstars in here, but she's pace compromised as well.
She is. She is pace compromised. Anna Way was in great form. She had to go to the bench.
Well, we'll get
She's
to her.
7 now, right? I don't like Lady Kate, Kansas Kiss.
Well, she's 7 now, but she was almost 7 when she ran last
Yeah, I
time.
understand that. But when they start missing that time, she missed 4 months.
We'll take a look at Honor Way since we're talking
And
about
here
her
she
now.
is. This is a filly that you could have had for $62,000.
I know, Aaron, you go to
6 months ago.
Yeah.
Again, she was back in for a
You
tag.
could have reclaimed her, Aaron.
Yeah, she was back in for a tag up in Saratoga. So,
Charlie's done a great job. With this
Amazing.
horse. I agree. It's not a great pace scenario for her. There isn't much pace in here. She's obviously facing some better horses. You're right. Her recent form is better. She has more recency than some of these, but on the other hand, it wasn't recently. If this race was
Right.
in February, in late February,
this would have been a very easy selection.
Would have been very, but
A
she's
very
also
easy selection.
well. She also has to overcome a general lack of pace, and doing it a 7-furlong race is problematic.
Yeah.
Her 7-furlong win was in a sloppy track. At Pacific Gale, she got better in Florida. I don't think she was running the races she's running now.
Not even close. Right. The 2 races in Florida she's put together. I don't know where that. You and I have picked her on occasions. We couldn't find that race from her, but she's found them in South Florida, man. She's been good this winter. But yeah, like you said, if this race was being run on February 2nd as opposed to April 2nd off Honor Way's 2 wins, this would have been a very, very simple selection. That
I
makes
agree.
things
It's a
difficult.
race where it's very hard to trust anybody. And I love Kansas Kiss. And yes, there's a world where I would have cashed with her last time if she had gotten through. But she also was on a gold rail against an inferior field in a slow race. And Call on Mischief ran a superior race to all of them. And what price would she be in here?
Right.
So, maybe her recency will help her, but she's also coming back in 20 days, and I think she might be a little better, a little more time.
Yep.
Poor Old Creeks can be the speed in here. I just don't think she's good enough. But
Port
I
Oak
guess-
Ridge, this is a position where I think if you're Kendrick, you just got to try and put her on the lead and just try to bottom the field.
Of course.
And that I think makes her a
bottom the
little
field out, put her in the lead.
I think that makes her a little dangerous.
Okay, listen, she has more recency.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was good enough, but I'm not going to argue with that. I don't have any confidence in any of them in this race, to be
This
honest.
could be one of those races where she could be the 4th most talented filly in the race and still get the job done because of the dynamics of the race.
So, the last race, a big late scratch.
Yes, our pick.
Guys, you need to change the picks, guys. The 2 is scratch.
They may not have got
Kickerland.
the email, Andy.
Is it Kickerland?
It's Kickerland. Yeah, he's out.
Kickerland? So can
He's
we
out.
change our picks? My picks are 1, 5, 4, 8. Anthony's are 4, 1, 5.
7.
Francisco, what do you think happened? Do you think that he was captured by
don't
aliens?
know.
And maybe they put somebody in his body or something
I don't know.
while he was gone?
I didn't want to change my top pick to your top pick, a horse we both tried a couple of starts ago. He improved a little bit last time. I left Forest Spirit. I'm not happy about having a Forest Spirit on top, even though.
Well, while they're changing the numbers, why don't we look at Forest Spirit's last race? I hate this horse.
Yeah, like I said,
I loathe this horse. Rode a gold rail last time.
I know.
The replay.
I know.
I'm not betting on horses that were very much with the racetrack and got easily run down by horses with wide trips. No, thank you very much. Not for me.
Yeah, I didn't have much to say about this race when Kickerland was in. I don't have much more to say now. This horse got run down, like you said, with everything his way. Really, got run down by a horse that showed up. Litterbox ran. Didn't mind the bias. Didn't mind anything. Just ran by them all. I wind up with this horse on top. I'll use the 1, 4, and 5 to try to close out the late pick 5.
Yeah, I'm just going to, at least the Italian-Americans showed some life last time out for our enemy, Carl Broberg, after just being pathetic.
He told me he was coming. I talked to him on Twitter about 10 days ago. He said he was coming.
He's not coming.
I told him so was Christmas.
He's Christmas.
Even though it's really Easter.
So is the year 3000. What do you think happens first, the year 3000 or Carl Broberg shows up here?
Maybe he's going to surprise us one day.
I don't believe it.
We'll see.
As far as Black Irish, I know he's kind of.
He is what he is.
I think he can win this race, and with the 2 out, it's 1.45. I agree. You got it right.
He can win. First time for the quarter. He ran for 30 a couple of times, which is the bottom over bell. He ran fine. Yeah, he can win. I'm going to use the 3 of them. I wasn't going to rely or lean too heavily on Kickerland, but I felt a little more comfortable picking him than any of the other 3 who I think can win the race.
No, I understand.
Right? Kind of got beat by the bias last time. Mr. Fantasy went to the lead, and that was it.
I'm just excited for the spring championship meet at Aqueduct.
So excited that you were the only member of the flunky bunch that did not show up here yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. I had the day off.
We were both here.
Yeah, instead of not taking 15 of my days off every year, I'm actually thinking of taking my days off now. Silly me. Tomorrow's first post is 12:50. Talking Horses 11 race card will be an hour from 11:30 until 12:30 tomorrow. America's Day of the Races is 1 to 7. Covering here at Oakland as well. A lot to talk about. What's like a fantasy?
Got to tune in tonight.
Good point. You can also find my picks for the Wood, Bluegrass, and Santa Anita Derby. I've made a preview video for that. Posted the link on YouTube, on Twitter. It's on the NYRA YouTube page, which I'm sure you're all members of and you check out with regularity.
Very least should be.
As you should.
More homework for you to go along with.
But there's great rewards. Head over to NYRABets.com if you're not a member.
We need a new slate. He's retired.
I know.
You okay?
Nah, I'm fine, but I agree with you. Head over to NYRABets.com. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match up to $200 of your initial deposit.
You looked for Klemp just now. You okay?
We will match that. Sport Racing New York. Keep the money in the game. Also the contest. You excited about the contest?
Yeah.
Memorial Challenge, $3,000 buy-in, but it's mostly your live bankroll. Even if you don't make any awards, you can keep any money you make.
NHC seat on the line.
NHC seats involved. That is, you said, Travers weekend, right? Out in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow. You have till 5 o'clock today to sign up. And also, finally, as we said,
boom,
1 to 6:30. America's Day at the Races. All the action on FS2.
You have any more time off coming up?
Well, I'm going to the Derby. I'll be out that week. I'll probably take a week some point before Saratoga.
I won't be here Derby Day either.
Wow. Well, you're heading up to Mohegan Sun.
I'll be in Mohegan Sun hosting the best Derby party in New England. Looking forward to that.
Is there any competition for this?
There used to be. I used to host a competition, but now I'm at Mohegan Sun. So.
Okay, we're done. Johnny I will be up shortly with a reprise of Scratches and Changes.